You know, Joe Biden is having a very difficult time at the polls. Donald Trump has passed him significantly. That was recent. So the Biden administration is pulling out all the stops to get people to come out and support Joe Biden because they know he is struggling so badly. And they have even gone as far to get the unions to come out in support of the Biden administration. I can't make this up. Listen to this. The Biden-Harris administration is proudly pro-worker, pro-public education, and pro-democracy. And the AFT union is proud to endorse Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the 2024 Democratic primary. Here are our members sharing why. So first of all, they're not pro-worker. They crushed a railroad strike. That includes the regressives as well that are a part of Congress. They crushed a railroad strike. They're not pro-public education. They're sending more money to Ukraine than they're allocating for sending towards any type of education or social programs in this country. So this is BS, obviously. But let me tell you what they've already done. They have managed to get the unions to come out in support. They have videos, they have articles. This is a hot mess, you guys. You got to see it to believe it.
President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris really care about people. They get the importance of workers having a voice and students having real opportunity. They are unabashedly pro-labor and pro-public education.
Already, this is giving me infomercial vibes. You ever watch those infomercials late at night? This is already giving me infomercial vibes. Buy this and you too will be able to do this in less than 5 minutes. How are they pro-worker? How are they pro-worker when they crushed a railroad strike? Give me a break. How are they pro-work? They blocked the railroad workers from getting sick pay. Now, some say, well, that was the Senate. Joe Biden could have stepped in there and he chose not to. Chose not to. Let's go on. I have something else to tell you about this.
I'm Randy Weingarten. And the 1.7 million members of the AFT, representing public school teachers and school staff, higher education faculty and campus staff, nurses and healthcare professionals and public employees across the country, all of us are proud to support President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris for the Democratic nomination in 2024.
I'm Connie, and I'm an OR tech.
I'm Crystal, a paraprofessional from Chicago Public Schools.
I'm Scott. I'm a community college librarian in Lancaster, California.
I'm Michelle. I work at the Montana Department of Transportation.
I'm Erica Bray, Administrative Assistant for Detroit Public Schools.
My name is Carmen, and
Pause. I've already seen Chicago Public Schools and Detroit Public Schools. Don't even get me started. I worked in education. Chicago Public Schools, not doing too well. Detroit Public Schools, not doing too well. How many times did the teachers have to go on strike in Chicago? How many schools have been closed in Detroit? How much did they pay these people to say this, guys? Let's be real.
I am a proud New York City middle school social studies teacher, and I support Joe Biden for president in 2024.
Joe Biden got the first major infrastructure bill passed in decades. It's going to build roads, bridges, water and energy infrastructure, broadband, and more.
What does the infrastructure bill? I'm sorry, let me go back. What does the infrastructure bill have to do with workers right now? Pro-worker. The same infrastructure bill that made loopholes for Joe Manchin. That same bill. This is just, if people fall for this, they're just not paying attention.
Decades. It's going to build roads, bridges, water and energy infrastructure, broadband, and more.
I'm voting for Joe Biden because he's the most labor-friendly president that I can remember.
Throughout.
Really? How old is this gentleman? Let's go back. Hold on. How old do you think he is? He's obviously older than me. He looks like he could probably be my dad, around my dad's age. Actually, might be a little bit older than my dad. The first labor-friendly president that he can remember. Let's go on.
Labor-friendly president that I can remember.
Throughout his administration, Joe Biden has signed executive orders supporting women's reproductive health, particularly after the Dobbs decision.
What does that have to do with workers? Do you guys see what's happening here? She's talking about women's reproductive health. Okay. The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Joe Biden told people to come out and vote in November for the Democratic Party so that they can codify Roe v. Wade into law. Then after that said, we're not going to codify Roe v. Wade into law. He supported women's reproductive health. What does that have to do with the union and being pro-worker? Do you see what they're doing here? They don't have much to say about the pro-worker situation. So they're trying to mention all these other things to make Joe Biden look like he's doing a good job.
Signed executive orders supporting women's reproductive health, particularly after the Dobbs decision.
I see how President Biden's Medicaid expansion has worked wonders for the patients I help here in my hospital.
The same Medicaid that the same Medicaid, are you going to leave out the fact that he kicked people off of Medicaid when he overturned the emergency status of the pandemic? What about all those people that just lost insurance? So you see what happens here, right? The nurses union, the teachers union, they got them to come together to make these statements. That's mainly who most of these people are. They got them to come together to make this statement, to make it seem like Joe Biden is pro-worker. Isn't that something?
I'm voting for Joe Biden because of the public service loan forgiveness, the African American community support.
Public loan, what? Look, none of these things are happening, people. None of these things are happening. This woman is reading a script.
I'm voting for Joe Biden because of the public service loan forgiveness, the African American community support.
What African American community support? They don't give you any examples. What did he do?
And I want him to finish the job that he started.
I'm voting for Biden because he fights for what our schools and communities need.
How? No examples.
Let's help Joe and Kamala finish the job of standing up for what families need, making government work for all Americans and building our economy from the bottom up and the middle out so everyone can get a fair shot.
People getting a fair shot right now are not in this country. Billions of dollars have gone to Ukraine. Billions of dollars not coming to us. Over $800 billion in that defense budget. Not to the people, though. All of these people reading the script, guys. Reading the script. Doesn't even seem real. It seems forced and fake. Now, Case Study QB actually had a video about this too that I also want to share, where it says the AFL-CIO endorses President Biden in 2024, a year ahead of schedule. So you see, they don't have anything to sell in reference to Joe Biden. So they said, let us go to the unions. And I'm pretty sure they probably talked to the union leaders, not the other members. Let us go to them and get them to publicly endorse Joe Biden right now. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Because he's already losing in the polls. Pathetic.
Today's 2024 presidential news is that the AFL-CIO, America's largest union and a powerful electoral force, endorsed Joe Biden's re-election campaign a year ahead of schedule, saying in part, Joe Biden is the most pro-union president in our lifetimes. From bringing manufacturing jobs home to America to protecting our pensions and making historic investments in infrastructure, clean energy, and education, we've never seen a president work so tirelessly to rebuild our economy from the bottom up and from the middle out.
No examples. Joe Biden is the most pro-union president of our lifetimes. How? How is it pro-union to prevent the railroad workers from getting guaranteed sick pay? How is it pro-union to prevent the railroad workers from going on strike? You know, they didn't go to the railroad workers and ask them for an endorsement because they know better. They know better. Give me a break. Even time you sit up here and you have DSA members, Democratic Socialists, being strike breakers, being scabs. Give me a break, people. No examples. Protecting our pensions and making historic investments in infrastructure and giving leeway to Joe Manchin under infrastructure. They're not going to mention that. Clean energy. But you sat up there and you allowed for Joe Manchin to have leeway to continue to profit off the coal industry. That's not clean. And education. They give you no examples of what he's done for education. We've never seen a president work so tirelessly to rebuild our economy from the bottom up and the middle out. That's from Liz Scholler, the president. You see what I'm saying? This is coming from the people at the top of these unions. Where are the union members? The rank and file has spoken. This is exactly why I continue to say that unionization cannot be the end game. It is a good starting point, but the end game should be worker co-ops. That should be the end game. Unions have union leaders, rank and file, that sometimes go against their own members. We saw that with the railroad workers. They have leaders who speak for the entire union. Where's everybody else on this statement? This is why this cannot be the end game. I'm not here to tell you that unions are bad. I think it's good to have some type of protections there for the workers. But the problem that we are coming up against in this country, particularly over the strikes that have been happening over the past year and a half, is that now it has gotten to the point where even the Supreme Court has decided to get involved in reference to who can strike and when and where. The unions don't have as much say-so as you would think. We're learning that the federal government can still come in and crush them. But if you have a worker co-op, now you own a piece of the company. When you're a union member, you don't own a piece of the company. You still have to answer to the beck and call of the CEO. And this is why the railroads, we called for this. There needs to be nationalization of the railroads. These people need to have more say.
In 2020, union households backed Joe Biden by 14 points over Donald Trump, despite Donald Trump's rhetoric about international trade. President Biden is going to rally with union members tomorrow afternoon in Philadelphia. It caps off a week of wins in the economic arena for the White House. Inflation expectations came in cooler. That means consumers are more optimistic about prices in the near future, which caused the Fed to take a surprise pass this week on once again raising interest rates to try to lower inflation. Doesn't mean they're not going to do it again, but they didn't do it this week.
Now, Common Dreams actually wrote an article about this. Common Dreams is pretty good on labor. Oh, I didn't put that there. I am so sorry. I think I forgot the Common Dreams article. I did. I'm going to have to pull that up. But in the meantime, one of the things I want to show you why they are heavily trying to get as many people as possible to come out and support Joe Biden is because look at this. Now, this is a problem. The Democratic Party decided to make South Carolina the first primary state or early state in the primaries instead of Iowa and then New Hampshire. They've bumped South Carolina up. And I told you, they said it was about diversity. I said that's BS. It was really about diversity. A state like Maryland or New Jersey or even Texas, they would have pushed for, right? Those states are more diverse than South Carolina. I've lived in South Carolina, so I know what I'm talking about. It was not about that. It was about pushing up the state that really put Joe Biden across the line. Everything changed after South Carolina in 2020 in the Democratic primaries. Bernie Sanders won New Hampshire. He won Nevada. We're even saying that he won Iowa, even though Pete announced early, and it turns out that he was incorrect. And we said that even back then. And then all of a sudden, things changed when it came to South Carolina. Joe Biden received the endorsement of Jim Clyburn, and we know what happened from there. That's what this is about. That being said, though, Iowa and New Hampshire are not backing down. Iowa and New Hampshire have decided they are still going to hold it first, as they usually would have. What that means is that Joe Biden would not be on the ballot in Iowa and New Hampshire. And that means that Biden could lose the first two 2024 contests to RFK Jr. This is a reality, folks. They didn't really think this through. President Biden is almost certain to be Democrats' pick for president in 2024, but he might not win the first two contests of the primary season if they're in the traditional first to vote states of Iowa and New Hampshire. Biden's team is indicating he won't be on the ballots in those states if they vote before South Carolina, his choice to have the first primary. Democrats in Iowa and New Hampshire could defy Biden and move ahead with their contest, even as the party warns it will strip them of their national convention delegates if they jump the gun. That sets up a scenario in which RFK Jr. or another long shot Democrat could win those states and embarrass the president. All the things that could happen. These are some of the things that they weren't thinking about at that point in time. Now, some say, how is it that they will be able to do this? There's a fine that New Hampshire and Iowa would have to pay, but they seem to be okay with paying that fine. New Hampshire and Iowa are not happy. They're not happy about the fact that this decision was made by the Democratic Party and they've been kind of knocked out of their spot. They're not happy about that. And they've been vocal about it. So they've decided, you know what? You're not going to tell us what to do. We're going to do it anyway. Now, I have that article from Common Dreams because they talked about the labor union supporting Joe Biden as well. In unprecedented show of solidarity, major labor unions endorsed Biden for 2024. Just want to read a little bit here. 17 unions on Friday endorsed Democratic U.S. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris for re-election in 2024. During the 2020 campaign and since taking office, Biden has pledged to be the most pro-union president, leading the most pro-union administration in American history. He has won praise for various appointments, including Julie Su for Labor Secretary, which still lacks U.S. Senate approval, and actions to improve the lives of exploited workers. Although Biden also has at time angered organized labor, particularly in December when he signed a congressional resolution preventing a nationwide rail strike as industry workers were fighting for paid sick leave. AFL-CIO President Liz Shuler still stressed Friday that there's absolutely no question that Joe Biden is the most pro-union president in our lifetimes. Let's go on here. I want to go down to this part. Along with the AFL and CIO unions individually endorsing Biden-Harris campaign include the Actors Equity Association, the American Federation of Government Employees, American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, American Federation of the Teachers. See, I told you they got the teachers on board. Communication Workers of America, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, International Union of Operating Engineers, International Association of Bridge, Structural, Ornamental, and Reinforcing Iron Workers, Labor's International Union of North America, and National Nurses United. To the nurses union, I have to say this. How do you back a president that doesn't even support everyone having health care? Make it make sense. How do you support a president that doesn't even support everyone having health care in this country? These aren't these members speaking for this. This is rank and file. That's what this is about. Now, I want to go to this piece here. There's the other unions coming forward. There is a crowded field for the 2024 Republican presidential primary, but twice impeached, twice indicted former President Donald Trump, who just turned 77, is leading the polls. Despite arguments that the U.S. Constitution bars him from ever holding elected office again for inciting what happened in January, on the Democratic side, the 80-year-old Biden incumbent faces a pair of long-shot candidates, Marianne Williamson and RFK Jr. Biden's new labor endorsements were intentionally announced ahead of the Saturday event at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Philadelphia, which will be the president's first rally since confirming in April that he is seeking a second term. See what I told you? Calling Biden and Harris the most pro-labor, pro-public education leaders of our country has seen in modern history. AFT President Randy Weingarten, that's who you saw in the first video there. This weekend, the entire labor movement is joining together in an unprecedented show of strength and support to harness the collective power of working people determined to move this country in the direction of freedom, justice, and opportunity for all. Make it make sense. The minimum wage has not been increased. $15 minimum wage was struck down. You don't have health care for everyone in this country. But here's the Democratic Party trying to co-opt the labor movements. And this is exactly why I continue to say the unions, any type of labor organizing and movement cannot work within the Democratic Party. They co-opt the message. And that is clearly what has happened here. Why aren't these unions trying to work with an organization like Workers Strike Back? An organization that is about the workers. Because the Democratic Party has already co-opted these unions. That's why. You see why? People get mad at me when I say this. No, no, no. You cannot organize with them. If you're trying to do labor, you cannot organize under these political parties. You cannot organize under the Republican Party. You cannot organize under the Democratic Party. This is why I say it, because they co-opt the message. They co-opt these organizations. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some infiltration here. And then you don't get what you're supposed to get as a worker. Minimum wage hasn't been increased. And the people on these videos that are part of these unions, they want you to believe that everything is A-OK. Railroad workers strike, crushed, but they want you to believe that everything is going great for the workers. People kicked off unemployment. People being evicted still. But they want you to believe that everything it's going great under this administration. It is not. They're going to use this talking point about creating all these jobs. They like to use that one. They like that one a lot. But they never tell you what the jobs are. They never tell you if they're full-time, part-time, if they're temp positions, contract positions. They don't tell you. They never tell you if these jobs offer healthcare benefits, including dental, by the way. They don't tell you any of that. They just say, we created jobs. So they had to do this because Joe Biden is struggling so badly, so badly. And someone made a funny video about this. Now you got to see this. This is how bad it is with Joe Biden.
So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Presenting the Best of Biden collection, now on home video. Now you can enjoy all your favorite wacky moments from America's senile old granddad.
Well, you know, gay bathhouses and everything. It's all about round-the-clock sex. It's all, come on, man.
Including sniffing a baby, awkward hugs, numbers are hard.
Go to Joe 30330.
Corn Pop.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Racism.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Stupid troops.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard. You stupid bastard.
Blank Stare. Blank Stare Part 2. Chris is Chuck.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
I just did Chris.
And many more.
Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
But wait, call within the next 10 minutes and receive a free copy of Kamala's Kooky Cackles. That's right, 6 full hours of ear-piercing cackles that the whole family can enjoy. Here's how to order.
If Joe Biden wins, got to add some humor in there, guys. If Joe Biden wins, I believe that he would resign that first year. And guess what, folks? Kamala Harris would be your president. Is that what you want? Do you trust Kamala Harris to handle foreign policy? Something to think about. Thank you so much for this, NK. Thank you for the super chat. AFT member here. Your 100% leadership are co-opted good Democrats. Rank and file voted for Bernie. Thank you so much for sending that, NK. You see what I mean, guys? And they're speaking for the entire union. Thank you for the super chat, Amber. A vote for Biden is a vote for elder abuse. Thank you, Eric. Trust and believe Sabby as a Florida public school teacher. These two parties are such subhuman garbage. Joey says, I got $5 on that. These are all union stewards, and the union leadership hammered this appointed endorsement. There you go. Joe says, Dems always going to lean on black people. Biden said we are a monolith. That too. So pay attention, folks. They're already doing it.